Hello and welcome to the studios of the National Communications Network as we bring to you a special program presented by the Guyana Rice Development Board. I'm Carol Davy, your moderator for this 50 minutes or so. And in studio with me are the heads of department of the Guyana Rice Development Board and the chief himself. Introducing to you the general manager, Mr. Nizam Hassan. We have the chief scientist, Dr. Mahendra Prasad, the extension manager, Mr. Kuldip Ragnot, and the quality control manager, Ms. Alison Peters. Gentlemen and lady, welcome.
Thank you.
Rice is the largest agriculture industry in the country. It is cultivated along the coastal area in Berbice, Demerara, and Essequibo, and there are 2 crops per year, spring and autumn. Mr. Hassan, can you give us an overview of the industry and the role of the GRDB?
Oh, most certainly, Carol, and thank you for having us on this program. The Guyana Rice Development Board started back in 1994. I think it actually began operations in 1995 by Act 15 of 1994, where 3 agencies that were working in rice, Guyana Rice Export Board, Guyana Rice Milling and Marketing Authority, and the National Paddy Rice Grading Center, were all merged to form the Guyana Rice Development Board. Putting together these 3 agencies, so the functions and the roles of those agencies coming into one and being under one management. And thus the GRDB, its role is to help develop the industry, develop export markets, develop research capabilities, and be involved in promotional work to further enhance what has been happening in the industry. And as such, on this program we have, as you've mentioned before, the respective heads. We are working in an industry where rice is consumed by 50% of the 7 billion people that exist right now. And it's an industry that is growing, and our role is to provide these services, capacity building in terms of the staff, in terms of the stakeholders, the farmers, raise their levels of performances so that we can get better productivity, better products for the market. And so on your program, Dr. Prasad, Ms. Peters, and Mr. Ragnot, they will all tell you about the kinds of work that they are managing within the GRDB.
Rice has come a long way since it was first introduced in the mid-1800s. We have seen a lot of challenges, or we've heard of a lot of challenges from then to now. But like I said before, it is the largest agriculture industry right now in the country. What GRDB intends to do for the future of the industry?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because rice contributes 20% of agricultural GDP and 5% of the overall GDP for the country, so it's a very important industry. GRDB intends to continue the work that it has been doing and to enhance on the kind of work. As I mentioned earlier, the research work, the extension work, the quality control work, all the marketing efforts and so on, but also moving into encouraging investments in value-added products made from rice. At the moment, the industry is more or less controlled in that farms grow paddy, millers convert the paddy to rice, and then we export rice in various forms, from bulk right down to 1 kilo retail-ready packages. Not any significant work has been done in terms of adding or further adding value to rice, and there are so many products that are being consumed globally that we want to also encourage our investors and other investors from outside of Guyana too to come and invest in the industry, because from all indications, all the research has been showing that people are looking for more convenient products, and we have the ingredient here to start that. So that is one of the areas in which the GRDB, through its efforts, but not alone, with other agencies and other arms of the government, and also with other agencies and arms that are working within rice, we want to stimulate, motivate, encourage, support investment in value-added agriculture.
Okay, Mr. Hassan, thank you very much. We will be speaking to you later in the program, but now we're going to go across to the chief scientist, Dr. Mahendra Prasad, the expert in plant breeding and genetics, And over the years, through his knowledge and guidance, the research station has given birth, so to speak, to 5 new varieties. Dr. Prasad, the research station is an important component of the Guyana Rice Development Board. Can you briefly give us a description? What is the role?
Well, the role of the research station is to ensure that appropriate technology has been developed and shared with farmers on a continuous basis to sustain the competitiveness of the industry in an ever-changing physical, financial, and even social environment in which rice has to perform. And in so doing, we have various components of research that subscribe to that big portfolio. And our overall aim is to, at this point in time, and it's been over the years, and that will see us in another decade or so, is to improve our productivity. And also, as the GM has alluded, now we're focusing a great lot on value added and how we could have more better products available for the farmer millers and for export in general.
Okay. And what are some of the achievements over the years?
Well, the achievements are many for the research and for GRDB in terms of research. As you mentioned, we have, over the past couple of years, we have developed 5-6 varieties, and even before then, we have now counted on 14 varieties that we have developed and released in farmers' field. The 5 varieties that we have recently released have accounted for over 60% of the overall cultivation countrywide. And the breeding itself and the development of varieties along with the packages and so is a continuous process. So while we counting on 5 is just a number, the better ones are still ahead, and we're looking to increase our productivity, looking at our quality, field tolerance, and so many other things.
Okay. Well, these new varieties, how does it contribute, or how is it better than the old varieties that we were farming centuries ago? Or,
well, not even centuries ago, maybe a decade or two ago, farmers accustomed to varieties that yielding like 20, 25 bags per acre. Mm-hmm. Now, the norm, farmers talking about 45, 50 bags per acre. You'll find the outriders getting even 55, 60. Don't doubt them. They are having that already. And you could see the national average from, say, maybe 2010 go up from 4-point-something tons per hectare to now to 5.5 tons per hectare. And we're looking in another couple of years to stretch it to even to 6 and over tons per hectare. So that's the work of that we are doing to have. And if you could imagine if 1 bag per acre more a farmer received, we planting over 200,000 acres per crop is 200,000 bags, or simply 70,000 hectare, 2 crops 140,000 tons if you have a ton per hectare more over a period of 5 years or so on. So it's definitely a positive ride for GRDB in terms of us enhancing productivity at all levels.
Okay.
Not only variety in terms of packages and pest and disease management and so many more.
Okay. Is it well received by farmers, or they're still skeptical to try something new?
Well, Kudlep will say later, there are different type of farmers. Some farmers, as soon as technology, even before the technology come out, I'll tell you, I'll release a variety, or we'll release a variety today, and the very next day we'll go, they'll say, Doc, what new we have next season? So we have this type of farmer in Guyana. They're very proactive, and the technology is well received. I've said one of our varieties is close to 50% of the entire cultivation. The newer varieties are gaining momentum, and it has to be because of the productivity and the level of resistance and the quality traits that has been embedded in them. And mind you, farmers, we are not saying that we are developing. It's a collaborative effort with the farmers, research, extension agency, quality, and the farmers. So the tail end of the breeding, the farmers kick in and they actually make the final choice of what they want. In terms of, once we are satisfied in terms of all the traits we have tested, they have a chance to select what they want. So it is well received, I must say.
Okay, well, the talk right now in town is in the aromatic rice. It's something that was recently launched by GRDB. We often hear about, we know about parboiled rice, we know about brown rice, we know about white rice, but aromatic rice, how different is it, and what are the nutrition values for
Well,
the consumers out there?
aromatic rice is a big thing, not in Guyana, around the world. And decades ago, so many persons have tried to develop aromatic rice. We are very ambitious, and even up to this time, we have gotten a level of success in developing GRDB 13, Guyana Force aromatic rice. The difference between, it's a fragrant rice, it's a specialty rice. It fits well on a niche market because of its price. It's ahead of the conventional rice because of its what do you say, a nut-like or a popcorn-like aroma and taste when you eat it, and people pay a lot of money for it internationally, and locally it's now gaining momentum. We have developed this variety a couple of years ago, and also the breeding program is geared to develop delivering more varieties of this nature in the future. We are now in the process of expanding the cultivation and testing the international market, which I must say, I think Jim will say more on that. It's very, very favorable. And if we continue along this line, and which I have no reason to think that aromatic don't have a place, because it's price bound. Farmers are definitely going to have a edge in terms of price, ones that kick off very well. But as we're talking aromatic, we currently having, from last season to now, there's over 200-300 folds increase in areas cultivated. So it's looking up.
How is it important, or how does it contribute to the rice industry and for the future of the achievement of the goals?
Well, the research station has its job well cut out. We have to be abreast with technology. We have to make technology available, new technology for our farmers. We have to ensure that we keep a pace of what the market requires. So we have to architect the plants and its packages so that it can able to deliver in the next 5-10 years. Our job, it takes maybe 5-6 to close to 10 years to develop a package and a variety for a specific situation. So we are very much proactive and in developing this type of variety for specific markets. Our role in the future, well, currently you can imagine receiving half the yields that you're receiving now. Farmers are receiving 40 bags per acre. If you're receiving 20 bags per acre, maybe 10 years back, now you're not going to make any money. And we're looking to up our productivity level even up to, I see another 10 bags per acre in the coming years. But that will take, that will have to bring everyone closer into the game. It's not going to be the researchers alone. It's, well, researchers or GRDB, we have to get a more, well, we have started that process also. Farmers have to grow rice in a more scientific way and up to date with the technology that's available, in which you're not going to be like before, we just throw rice and go back and get 50-60 bags per acre. You know, you have to give it the kind of management that is needed for us to raise the productivity level and to launch ourselves into the future. Because the whole game is very, very competitive, both locally and internationally. And we know that 60% of what we produce, or even more, 78%, we have to export. So we have to, our quality and everything have to be intact to ensure that we play high on the on that level.
We're going to head over now to Mr. Koldep Ragnot. He is the certified master trainer. His expertise is in extension training, professional training and coaching, and rural advisory services. Over the years, Mr. Ragnot has pioneered farmers' field schools, the 6 points practice, and bred rice control methods. Mr. Ragnat, welcome to our studios. The extension deals directly with the farmers, providing an outreach program, so to speak. Emphasize more on the role of your department.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you for having me here. The work of the Extension Department is focused in 4 areas. One is marketing of seed. The other is technology transfer. The third is data collection. And the fourth is what we call ad hoc or unplanned activities. I did not mention them in any order of preference there. But just to emphasize on each a little. The first one, where seed marketing is concerned, the research station produces seed, Certify 1 seed. The extension department is involved in selling of that seed or the sale of that seed to farmers, selected growers in all the rice growing regions, and they further multiply it into Certified 2 seeds. Technology transfer, and that's the focus, the main focus of extension work. And that Dr. Mahendra mentioned, as part of the research program, the development of varieties. And he also mentioned that, you have to have the appropriate management practices. And that is correct, because in as much as you can develop a varieties with yield potential, maybe 50 to 60 bags per acre, that can be the yield potential. The potential of those varieties cannot be realized or will not be realized if it's not being matched by the relevant or the appropriate management practices. And our work is to ensure those practices are handed down or passed on to the farmers, or those information are shared with the farmers, so that they can have the capacity, they can have the capability to implement it in their field, so as to allow the varieties to perform as they are supposed to. And one of the practices over the years that we would have initiated and promoted in the farmers field is a 6 points practice, which we can probably talk about a little bit later. But I'll go to the third point, which is data collection. Data collection, production information in terms of harvesting, in terms of yields, in terms of pest and disease levels, in terms of whatever the industry requires. The department provides that. Red rice infestation, schooner grass infestation level. The department provides that in terms of data. The fourth area is I mentioned ad hoc or unplanned activities. These activities come up from time to time. In our program, we never plan for them, but they do come up. For example, you might have a flooding. We will have to go and do the survey, collect the data on acreage affected by the flood, number of farmers affected by the flood. Recently, we concluded the loss assessment in relation to the 2016 El Nino drought conditions. So we do have a reasonable idea as to how many acres was lost as a result of the drought, how many farmers were affected. So those are examples of unplanned. Nobody never planned for that, for the farmers' field to be, dried up, for them to lose. But it happened, and therefore we have to go and do our work in terms of collecting the data. All in all, at the end of the day, when we put all the activities together, we want to contribute to the mandate of the board, which is to develop the rice industry.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ragnat. We now turn our focus on quality control, and to represent this arm of the Ghana Rice Development Board is the Quality Control Manager, Ms. Alison Peters, whose expertise is in quality systems, quality management, training achievement, ISO certification, and your department is responsible for the grading and certification of paddy rice and rice byproducts intended for trade. Give us a more detailed overview of the quality control department.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Debbie. The Quality Control Department certifies both paddy and rice and their byproducts, broken rice, bran, etc., for both local and export use. I want to say local use because sometimes you will have complaints about quality of rice locally, but there is a minimum standard for rice consumption locally, and we have a mandate to look at the quality of rice locally. So it's not just for export purposes, because we do not want the rice that we're eating locally to create any issues in the life of the person. So we don't want rice to kill out any of our persons here. So we have to ensure that the rice that is being consumed locally also meet a minimum standard. For export, it's a little more tedious because we want to ensure that Guyana's rice get out as and have the name of being a good quality product. So that takes most of the focus of the department. Certification of rice and paddy and the other products is not just through a quality standard developed by the Guyana Rice Development Board. In fact, all standards for to be used in Guyana is developed by the Guyana National Bureau of Standards. The Guyana National Bureau of Standards work along with the other stakeholders, and it was no different with rice. We worked along with them. As a matter of fact, I was the chairperson of the standard committee for rice, and we developed the standards based on international standards. So Guyana Rice Standard is not entirely different from the international standards. We work basically through the same kind of systems. How do you grade rice? How you separate red rice from a green grain, etc. So we work under internationally accepted standards. And if I can go on a little to say that we were certified by the Guyana National Bureau of Standards, our central lab in Georgetown, as a certified lab to certify standards according to the international standards. The higher international standard that we use is the ISO 17025 standard, which we eventually became accredited to in 2015. Now, the accreditation to international standards brings more confidence to the certificate that we would normally issue. Prior to that, we recognize it in Guyana. But a person in Jamaica, a person in Europe who doesn't know Guyana, does not know the Guyana Rice Development Board Central Laboratory, when they see that your body, your lab has been accredited to the ISO